You guys, there seems to be mega pressure on at the moment, Evan.
Yeah, it's really intense. Something I'm not used to. It's just I did the Dakar last time under different circumstances, and it was all sort of quite calm. But the intensity level in the Toyota racing team here is something else. It's relentless. You just never stop. It doesn't matter how early it is in the morning or late it is in the afternoon or late it is at night. There's always something to do. It's just something. It's at a different level.
And there are also early starts to the day as well. I mean, couple that with the cold. It's a physical challenge for crews as well.
Yeah, you can see it's physical and mental. The physical side starts to work on the mental side. That you just don't get enough sleep. It's just impossible. In the first 3 or 4 days, the first night we had about 3 hours sleep. The second night was about 4 hours sleep. And you just got to start as early as you can. We try and push the guys to go to bed as early as possible at night, but they've got the responsibility of the cars, and it's my job to get the guys into bed. And you try and tell them to go, and they're so dedicated to what they're doing. They're not listening. They, uncertain terms, tell you to just move on because they've got a job to do, and they're not going to stop until they've got this job. They all know exactly what they've got to do. They know how long it's going to take. So they say, well, either we work on it tonight or we wake up an hour earlier in the morning. So they're really just running their own show. I'm just sort of keeping them comfortable and keeping them organized, that when they do stop working, they know exactly where they're going to go, what they're going to do, and the vehicle's organized, or the food's organized, or the liaison section is organized. So, it's really intense.
I mean, in the bivouac where you are now, you've got a massive team. There's you guys running 4 different cars, and couple that with all the overdrive cars. It's a huge logistical machine that keeps going.
Yeah. It's we got 40. I think it's 41 of us on our side, and then overdrive. I'm not too sure the numbers I have there, but they're running 7 vehicles, I think. 6 Toyotas, and the one is a Toyota that was built for the Chinese with a different body on. So it's a big pit setup, and logistically, it's hard to explain. That there's just so much on the go. There's so many people doing their job in so many different places. Obviously, it wouldn't work well if every single person didn't know exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the best team at the Dakar at the moment. We're sitting with the leader of the race overall by, it looks like after today, a nice margin. I think he's got about 30-something minutes on Loeb.
I'm seeing 37 odd minutes on Loeb, yeah. I'm seeing 37 odd.
Under racing conditions, that's a big, you're not going to make that kind of time up on NASA. Obviously, you work the race out with stuff talking about race pace. If people have problems, break down or get lost, you can't really calculate that. We work with what we know. That's how we put our strategy together. But that's a good gap where everyone's quietly confident, and it's such a long way to go. No one talks about the end. It's like an unspoken thing. We just go day by day, and we just manage the process towards the end. And as I was saying, this is a proper top-class team. We had Henk led a lot of the stage today. He ended up with the second place, with I think the Audi taking its first stage win. But it just goes to show the caliber. Janelle's sitting in a very powerful position to attack later on, and everyone sort of talks about him as he's always, taking it easy. He's not taking it easy. It's all about strategy. You just got to be in the right place. If you go too fast, you end up in the front. Then you start having to navigate from the front of the field, and then you open yourself to losing a lot of time. So there's quite a bit of strategy at play the whole time.
Evan, would I be correct in saying that NASA was really, really keen on hitting as hard as he could early on, try and build a gap, and then manage against the competitors? Janelle is the steady, he's going to finish in the top 10. He's done it so many times, but he's pushing hard to stay in it, to keep the pressure on. And then particularly with Henk, with the wheel coming off, you've now got a rabbit that you can actually send out to really put the pressure on the Audis, because on the overall, they also screwed. So basically it's a let's Henk versus Audis for stage wins. Is that a kind of, am I on the track there?
Yeah, well, you were quite right with, I think, Nasser's. That's what happened last year with Peter Hansel. He made up 12 minutes or so on the first stage because he took it easy in the time trial. They've changed that this year because everybody was working on strategies and everybody wanted to hold back in the time trial. So what they did is they changed the rule there, and so you race flat out for the top 10, and then you could choose your position. So to get a 10th, which was what everybody wanted, you had to come first. So they eliminated the chance of guys sandbagging on the first day. Everybody had to go for it. But at the same time, you can go for it. You don't want to destroy your day or your race in the first day. So look, he's got an unbelievable pace. This guy can run it at this pace day in and day out. So yeah,
Yeah, and today we've heard on some of the interviews where he said that he was basically tracking Loeb because he doesn't have to push that hard. And when he realized that Loeb had some positions, he could back or save the car and not take take more calculated risks.
Yeah, correct. What happened on that stage was there was a waypoint which was really difficult to find, and NASA managed to find it. The guys were driving around in circles, and Loeb, we think Loeb spotted him as he sort of found it. So he got Loeb out. Well, in fact, I heard him saying that at the end of stage, Loeb came to him, opened his door at the end of stage, and said to him, "Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, because without that, he would have been behind." And then once you ride on the back on a guy's tail like that, he just followed Nasser through the stage, through the dunes, following his lines. And like Nasser said, it's easy if you're sitting behind me, So I think I believe he sort of backed off, and he didn't show his full hand on that stage. He had him behind him, so he took it out of stage. He was quietly confident after we spoke to him, and we know Nasser can do that day after day. Loeb managed to do it for one day. And as you can see today, he was probably trying to push at the same pace, and then he had two punches, and I think he also had a drive shaft or he had a drive train of some sort.
Yeah, it ended up with two-wheel drive. On your car,
okay, there we go.
From a technical point of view, are things going to plan? You haven't had any surprises coming up, because we know, this is the first real test of the T1 Plus. Drivetrain's all good? Everything going to plan?
No, everything's good. Yeah, no, the cars have been excellent. You've had your normal little niggly issues that you're going to deal with. It's inevitable. We had a sensor failure on Shamir's car. He did have a backup, and they sorted that out. But the cars are running good, and the guys are talking about the car. They're really happy with it. It really is a machine. And Henk showed today, with a clean run, what he could do. So there's no doubt the cars are good enough to take on the best that's here. Yeah. So yeah, we're happy with the strategy. As we were talking to Nasser, he wanted to push hard. He's got a gap, and he had 12 minutes this morning. He's now got 37. And he'll want to build on that gap until we get to the rest day. And once you've got a nice gap at the rest day, everybody else will start chasing stage wins, and he'll sit back a little bit back. He doesn't have to go into the lead. He doesn't have to lead stages, because you ultimately, he's got the time. He can afford to lose a couple of minutes each day. Managing his pace, but each day you've got different people wanting to win stages, and as you were saying earlier, with Henk now going out there and putting positions, the Audis to win stages is great, and because they're not in the hunt. So as soon as anybody in front of NASA is winning stages, as long as they're not in the championship hunt with him, it's an ideal day. So that's sort of what we believe is going to happen. All the guys are going to start pushing for their stage wins, and now that they're out of the contention for the overall, they sort of throw caution to the wind. So the next best thing for them to do is to get a stage win rather than the overall. So,
it must be
so far so good.
It must be really cool for Henk and Brett's confidence after the wheel issue to come back with such a strong performance that they had today. That must have been a big weight lifted off his shoulders.
Yeah, I think it was a tough day for them. There's a lot to learn in the sport. We were talking about it the other day. There's just so much on the go. You've got to have your car right, you've got to have your lines right, you've got to have your navigation right, you've got to have your road position right. There's so many influencing factors. He showed his pace at the time trial. He had a great time trial the first time out, and so did Brian. I think it was really impressive right on the first day. Unfortunately, they had some problems, but there's no doubt Henk's got the pace to run up at the front with these guys, and they've shown that today. He said he's not going to change his strategies. He wants to drive the way he drives. He doesn't want to go faster. He doesn't want to go slower. He's going to drive the way he drives. And he had a good day today. He said he needs to finish this Dakar. It's become even more important now to finish it rather than to win it. But that's the pace we saw. When he runs and he's comfortable, he's going to get a good stage result.
Tell me about the Audis. What are they like? I mean, clearly they're super quick. Is there discussion between yourselves and ProDrive on the balance of performance? And because they seem to be in loose sand, they seem to be absolutely flying.
Yeah, it's not the pressures. Those sort of negotiations are ongoing. That's the political side of the racing. You're always fighting for rules in your favour. They after the first stage were saying that they're battling with the weight, and it's difficult, and they can't keep up. But now they've shown the pace they've got. When those things get sorted, they're going to be really something difficult to beat. But first time out at a race, at this race, is always going to be difficult. But they've shown today they're all three. I think I haven't gone through all the details, but all three of them ran good today, and so there's no doubt there's going to be some good pace for them. But it's a long way to go, and first time out's always going to be difficult. Doesn't matter how big your team is.
And Evan, we see that you all dressed up like an Eskimo. We see you all dressed up like an Eskimo.
Yeah,
it looks cold and wet and not so lekker there.
We've had an incredible amount of rain, unusual for these guys. They don't normally have this kind of rain. The nut runners in the background. Yeah. The marathon stage was cancelled because the entire bivouac was underwater. I saw more water on the side of the road to this bivouac than I've seen in the Vaal River. It's unbelievable the amount of rain in the desert here. But yeah, it's cold. It's bitterly cold, and we set up the pits. We try and keep them closed off from the wind and try and keep the guys as comfortable as possible. If we're up at high altitude, we leave here tomorrow morning and we travel down to Riyadh, which is we lose a lot of altitude, which is the weather will get better, and so will the cars go faster. We must keep that in mind with these Audis up here. They don't suffer from altitude. So once we get down to Riyadh with the altitude changing, give us a little bit of a boost with the power in our cars compared to theirs, but it will also warm up, and that'll be better for the cruise. But on that weather side, you just carry on. It doesn't change anything. You're just cold while you do it. It doesn't really change anything. But we keep the guys, warm and keep them full of hot coffee and hot chocolate. And, we've got appropriate clothing, so we just carry on. That's just under normal circumstances, you go sit inside and get warm, but that's not an option.
Awesome. Evan, I know that your time is limited. You've got stuff to do and briefings to go to. Thank you very much for taking some time out to share your experience with us. Hopefully we'll chat to you again before the end of the race. Send our good luck to everybody, all the South Africans there. Have fun and race fast.
Cool. Thanks. We'll speak to you guys soon.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Ciao.